This internationally acclaimed writer examines many of the themes traditionally found in Southern literature, but with a modern sensibility, a well-developed sense of moral intelligence, and a keen sense of humor. Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Mississippi is proud to recognize our ageless hero in the category of creativity, Josephine Haxton. Born Josephine Ayers in Natchez, Mississippi, Jo grew up in a loving family in small towns across the South. She began writing early and was influenced by her grandmother and her own love of reading.
She also wrote children's stories, and mainly for her grandchildren, and she would read them to us when we came to visit her. Her writing gave me the sense that, well, that was something you do, you know.
Jo married Kenneth Haxton in 1945 and began her first book as her children grew older. After showing her manuscript to a friend, she had an offer to publish A Family's Affair, which led to her choosing the pen name of Ellen Douglas.
When that happened, I'd been working on the book for years, 4, 5, 6 years, but I hadn't really been thinking about it in very practical terms. I hadn't been thinking about publication at all, really. Just it was something I was doing because I really liked doing it. And what I thought as soon as somebody wanted to buy it was, oops, it's really very much about my 2 aunts. It's based on their lives. And I can't sell it to a publisher without getting their permission. So I went out to Natchez to see them and get that permission, and they had 2 provisos. They would consent to my being published if, 1, they didn't have to read it, and 2, if I would use a pen name.
For over 40 years, Ellen Douglas has explored the sights, the sounds, and the rhythms of Mississippi's past and present.
Is because that's what we had in Mississippi. It was a very complex and difficult society in which it was hard for the individual to function. And I think that's part of what made me write about race relations and race difficulties. Also, of course, that the more difficult a world is, a society, the more likely it is to produce stressful situations which are useful to novelists and writers of poetry and short stories.
She was influenced by the work of earlier Southern writers.
I think Faulkner and Catherine Ann Porter, definitely. And then I was reading pretty widely during those, was always.
And also admired the work of her contemporaries.
Well, I suppose, obviously Shelby Foote and Walker Percy, because they were both from the town where I lived and were friends. So those would be the 2 writers of my own generation that stand out in my mind.
Jo has received numerous prestigious awards for her work, including the American Academy of Arts and Letters Award in Literature. Jo has 3 sons, Richard, Ayers, and Brooks, and 7 grandchildren, and is still writing. In her latest book, Witnessing, published in 2004, she wrote, "To mean something, to make a reader feel something, I want not to tell about, to express my feelings, but to evoke feeling in the reader of my story."
She's never sentimental. She understands Mississippi people, old Mississippi people, but very modern ones too. And in some ways, I think she may be Mississippi's most modern writer. She has never shied away from issues that might make some people squirm a little bit.
Jo Haxton, writing as Ellen Douglas, is considered one of the most important contemporary Southern novelists.
She is able to draw from her memory and use her imagination and create situations and scenes that make us really understand the human condition.
Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Mississippi takes great pleasure in honoring Josephine Haxton as an outstanding ageless hero for creativity.